very much, everyone. When Aidan said that the theme of this event was commitment, I kind of had to take a step back and have a little think about what I was going to sing, and I realised that I have a song with the word commitment in it, but then I thought that might be a little bit too obvious. So I decided to sing this one. It's a song that I wrote a few years ago. A friend of mine was going through kind of like a messy relationship, and as girls do, we spent a few hours every night chatting about it and what was going on, and I suppose I started thinking about it maybe from the guy's perspective and what he might be going through. And I suppose the thing is that life and love can be quite difficult, and relationships are hard, and I think sometimes the way that we try to protect ourselves is by not committing and not kind of getting involved. So I wrote that from his perspective, I suppose, in a way. But obviously I didn't say any of that to her. I just said he was an asshole. So this song is called Sorry.
Darling, don't say it's the end, 'cause I could never feel this way again. You always knew that I could never tell the truth, and I'll pop up now and again and let you know what's been happening. And sorry is all I can say. Say it so much now, it's lost meaning. But you rule my mind for too long a time. It's not my way to make you stay here with me. And you'll go now where I can't follow, and his goodbye's a hard word to swallow. I'll go back where you won't see the ways I forget you and me, or how I try push you from my mind so you won't see how much you meant to me. I can't live up to what you'd expect me to be.
Thank you.
Good morning. Just going to move this here. All right. Okay, good morning, everybody. So this is a photo of a poster that sits in my apartment. And I didn't design it. It's by a very well-known graphic artist, Anthony Borrow. But it captures, I guess, my life goals, or maybe the philosophy that I like to guide myself with pretty well. And for those of you who can't read it, it says, "Go everywhere, do everything." And this poster sits at the door of my apartment. So when I leave home every day or every time I travel, I see this poster and I'm reminded to go everywhere, do everything. To go everywhere, do everything, go everywhere and do everything. Because really, I just want to see the world. I want to learn from people. I want to learn about people. I want to learn about culture. I want to learn about nature, technology. And I want to do things, right? I want to do as much as I can. I want to make stuff, and I want to put my things out into the world. So where have I gone? Well, I've visited the most beautiful mosques in Islamabad, Pakistan. I've talked to the rich and poor in Bengaluru in India. I've explored the dense streets and markets of Hong Kong. I've walked the historic harbours of Copenhagen, Denmark. I've watched the sunset over San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. I've walked the High Line in New York City. And I'm really happy that I can call Austin, Texas, kind of my second home. But, all of these places that I've been to, I haven't been there, because they were holiday destinations. They weren't born out of holiday aspirations at all. I've been there because of the stuff that I do. I get to travel the world because of my work and the hard work that I do. And so what do I do? Well, I get to work with a bunch of highly talented individuals. Some of you are here this morning. And I get to work with individuals from all over the world, and we bring a culture of design and creative problem solving into a big old corporate organization called IBM. I also educate. I educate co-workers and students, and I equip them with skills that, hopefully encourages them to ask questions of the world, to explore, challenge assumptions. I facilitate workshops, so I bring people together from all corners of business and different disciplines to collaborate. I create spaces and environments for others to tell their stories about what they do. I tell stories through things like graphic design, typography, and data. And I get to share my ideas and my experiences and my learnings with incredible makers and thought leaders from all over the world. And so commitment, the word commitment is a pretty loaded word, right? It's kind of like a heavy word. You might think of things like forever, right? Or for a long time. It's hard work, it takes a lot of effort. And maybe it doesn't trigger words like fun or adventurous or liberating, all right? But to me, actually, commitment is all of that, right? Maybe not forever, but definitely hard work, effort, fun, adventurous, and it's certainly liberating for me. So this morning, I'm going to share a couple of personal stories to so many strangers. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to share a few personal stories. And I hope, by sharing those stories, you might leave here today thinking that committing to things isn't so scary, and it's not such a kind of heavy concept. And actually, by committing to things, you might end up going to lots of places and doing lots of things and having a lot of fun and having adventures. So to begin, I'm an introvert, total introvert, and I'm really shy as well. So those two things, I guess, being quite different. Introversion is where you get your energy from, how you recharge your batteries. So you're probably going to find me, reading a book or going for a walk before you find me at a rave. I don't know, is that a thing? Obviously not. That's how out of touch I am. Okay, so I won't be doing that. But so that's me being an introvert. And I'm also really shy. So shy people are probably not the first to introduce themselves in a social situation. Lots of blushing and nervousness. It's great fun, really. But 5 years ago, if somebody said I'd be doing this today, like giving a Creative Mornings talk, I probably would have laughed at them or at that concept in a very polite way. Because, when I was in school, maybe at about 11 or 12 years of age, I started to kind of hold back quite a bit. And I started to maybe hide at the back of the class or the hall when it came to things like speech and drama or choir. And then, when I was in my young teens from that age, I started to actually kind of have bouts of anxiety. And it was sort of unknowingly at the time. I just thought the odd panic attack is just part of growing up. And then in college, when I started in college, the idea of presenting my work, putting myself out there to my peers or lecturers, really put me on edge. And I kept all of this, growing up, completely bottled up and private. I'd be a very private person despite telling you all of about myself. But, I kept it quiet. And it was actually in college, maybe in my second year of college, when I realized that I actually really care about what I'm doing. And I really want to learn. And I want to become a good designer. And in fact, I wanted to become the best designer that I could be, even though I wasn't the best in class. And so all of the hard work and late nights that we put in during college meant pretty much nothing if I couldn't articulate and communicate my ideas and the intent behind that work. And so I thought, if I want to succeed at what I'm doing for myself, I have to put a lot of work in, and not just in the craft or the discipline or my education, but actually for myself, right? So I had to dig pretty deep over a long period of time, and I'm still doing it, and commit to, I guess, understanding myself, and then doing the best that I could. And so my first ever public presentation was in 2014 to a room of about 200 people, like suited business grown-up people. And I was fucking terrified. I was so nervous. Like I didn't really sleep, the nights running up to the morning of the presentation. I get there, I'm like a nervous wreck. I don't even know, like probably wearing awful things, and my hands are like a sweaty mess and dry mouth, and heart palpitations. It was awful. It was terrible. But actually, in the end, nothing happened. As in, I did deliver the talk, right? I did it. I didn't back out of it. But nothing bad happened, right? I did okay, and I got feedback, and I accepted that I did okay. I was super critical, right? I analysed everything that I could have done better, and all the things that, I could improve on, and that was the point. I realised that, actually, I did okay, and I can get better. And so I thought, if I ever get the opportunity to do something like that again, I would absolutely commit to saying yes, because I knew I had the opportunity to improve. And so, in spite of all my introverted, shy, anxious ways, it turns out that I have something to say. I have a lot to say, apparently, because now I do a lot of public speaking. I present at events, I host events very often. I facilitate those workshops, and I collaborate with a lot of people a lot of the time. And, it's pretty terrifying. Genuinely, it's actually really hard for me, but it's also a lot of fun, and I'm learning all the time. I'm growing. I'm learning about my discipline. I get to learn a lot. I get to go to a lot of places, and that's the point, because I want to go everywhere and I want to do everything. And so, what I would say is that my introversion has been a bit of a thorn in my side growing up. And, introversion, like I said, shyness, anxiety, I feel like I might have missed out on a bit, my early teens and certainly college. But when I realized that actually the opportunities that these situations like right now, or public speaking, or, working with other people, those opportunities that they provide me with totally outweigh the discomfort that I felt and still feel when I'm in those situations. I had no choice but to actually do the best that I could and can when I'm in those situations. And so I commit to doing that. And how do I do that? I always say yes. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that talk. That's cool. I'll go and do that. And then, the morning of it, I'm like, why am I doing this? But that's okay, because I just get on with it, and I just do it, right? And it's been really liberating, right? And I get to meet some great people, and I get to go places and do lots of cool things. So, I'm divulging a lot to you all, and I'm feeling all vulnerable and exposed now. Don't judge me. Because I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to talk a little bit more, about what I do, and particularly my work. Life is hard sometimes, and getting to where you want to be, or where you think you want to be, where you want to be, or where you want to go, takes a lot of effort, right? And it takes a lot of hard work. And I'm really lucky that I get to do what I enjoy, right? I don't take it for granted at all. But if we rewind a little bit again, so when I was in school, secondary school, I used to work in McDonald's. I got my first ever official job working in McDonald's, and in the middle of Ireland. I'm from Tullamore, Offaly. I was working there, and it wasn't a glamorous job, it wasn't a fun job at all, but I was earning some money, and I kept that I kept that work, that job when I went to college. It was really important because it allowed me to stay and get educated in college and pay my student loan. And so I would go home at the weekends and the summer, and I would work in McDonald's. And it was the summer just before my third year of college, I think. I was probably serving like Big Mac meal or something. And I was thinking, I wish I was doing something cool and meaningful with my time. And, at that point, I kind of thought to myself, I looked around, and there's some colleagues there, and they had been there for years, like a long time. And I just thought, I can't do that. And at that moment, I thought, I want more. And it wasn't just at that point, but I thought I wanted more for my future. And I didn't want to become, I guess, institutionalized or ruralized by, my hometown in the middle of Ireland, because I wanted to get out and see the world, and I wanted to meet people, and I wanted to make things for the world. And I didn't want to spend the rest of my life serving chicken nuggets and fudge sundaes, and not because I don't think that's an acceptable job, because not at all. But it's not the career or the future that I wanted. And so, I had to really think about this and figure out, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this situation? And I don't look back at that experience or having that job negatively. Not in all ways. Maybe it wasn't fun or glamorous, whatever, but actually I learned a lot. I learned definitely the value of customer experience, and I learned how shitty people can be in life. And so that kind of, pushed me forward, and I was like, I got to get out of this, right? So at the time, I was making some artwork for musicians, for bands in Ireland. CD album covers, they were terrible, like Photoshop, like turned up to 11, and T-shirt designs. And the T-shirts were actually doing okay, and I was getting a bit of kudos for it. And so I decided to set up my own independent clothing line, like very small scale type stuff, and I called it Outcry Apparel. And this was really fun, kind of, I guess, side hustle during college. And I set this up not on my own at all. I had a lot of support from my friends who kindly modeled for me. And of course, my other half, my boyfriend, who helped to set up that initial print run. And without that, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But it was really hard. And at weekends, I would spend my time making like custom hand labels and pinning them to the T-shirts and packing them up and sending them off, and coding and updating the online web store, and connecting with people all around Ireland to see would they stock the T-shirts and sell them in their stores, drawing and designing the next design, online marketing. Like, I had no idea what I was actually doing at all, but I was doing it because I knew that I wanted to do more, right? I wanted more options. And it was really funny because actually then orders started coming in from all across Europe. People actually liked what I was doing, which was mind-blowing because I wasn't a very good illustrator at all, but that's besides the point. And eventually I actually made enough money where I could start paying my loan, put money in my pocket and then quit my job at McDonald's and finish out the last year of my college degree without having to go back to work there. And I've never been back to work at McDonald's, which is pretty great. Really happy about that. But, you know, it was a lot of hard work. And of course, I learned a lot. And even though I didn't pursue a career in retail or illustration or PR, it definitely set me up for where I'm at today in terms of my career. So I guess it gave me the skill set of entrepreneurial skills, communication skills, design skills that I need today for my career that I absolutely love. So this is me in my kind of happy workplace. And I really love what I do. All of those things that I do, the workshops, the education, I really enjoy it. But, you know, unfortunately, as I said, life is hard, right? And sometimes you come up against challenges. You may not foresee them, or they may be really difficult to overcome. And not too long ago, I came to a certain point in my job where I thought, you know, I think I need to leave my place of work. And there was some really difficult challenges and circumstances that presented themselves to me that I thought, well, there really is no alternative. And the thing about it is that I didn't want to stop doing the work that I was doing or collaborating with the people I was collaborating with. But, you know, I just thought there was no other way. And so I was determined that I was going to leave. And so it took a lot of listening and a lot of understanding and a lot of patience to decide not to go, right? And to decide to commit to a bit of a change. And I learned something, and I realized something that's really fascinating when I decided to stay. And, you know, it's only on reflection, actually. It's only looking back that I understand what it means. And to explain, I'm going to actually reference the work of a psychologist. Her name is Angela Duckworth. She's written a book. It's called Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Everybody should read it. It's a great read, but importantly for today, she talks about commitment. And she talks about how committing to things, actually following through on things that are really challenging and difficult, committing to, you know, whether it's learning to play the piano or the gym, commitment actually deepens your interest and your passion in the thing that you're committing to. Like, that's fascinating. So sticking it out, committing to what you want to do, deepens both your interest in that and your passion for it. And what I came to realize was that over the last few years, I started to really enjoy the work that I was doing. Just genuinely, I enjoyed it. And when I was faced with this kind of challenge or these challenges, one that I wanted to walk away from, but later decided to stick out, it kind of kick-started this really intense, but totally subconscious and invisible journey of deepening my interest and passion in what I do. And I couldn't be more passionate about what I do now. I absolutely love it. And I think that's a really important lesson for me. Absolutely. And so when you think of commitment, you might think of things like, you know, getting married or a wedding, exchanging vows with a life partner, or religion, you know, committing yourself to a deity or a set of beliefs that inform how you view the world. Or you might actually think of this, right? So the most recent Repeal the Eighth movement, this is like the best example of commitment that I've ever seen. And it's pretty amazing, you know? So if you think about the women, the campaigners, the voters who committed to bringing a much needed change to our society in Ireland, even though the conversations were so hard and the situations were so difficult, like that's amazing, that's inspiring, right? And so when things get really hard, because they do, committing to it can be really hard. But if you commit to trying, if you commit to giving it a go, then your ability, your outlook, your passion and your interest actually just increases tenfold. And so by a quick show of hands, who here has ever thought something like this? I wish I could do, insert an action, but I'll think about it tomorrow. Yeah. I wish I could go, insert a place, but I may not have the time. I'd like to learn a skill, but it seems a bit hard. I think I'll try something, but, I'm not good enough. Okay, so unless you're not a human being, you've probably thought or felt something like that many times in your life, because I certainly do, like every single day. And let me tell you that the word but, is the enemy of commitment, right? As humans, we choose the path of least resistance. Evolution has programmed us to be efficient, right? To find the quickest, the easiest route to success. But actually, sometimes that materializes as us being lazy, because humans don't like hard work, right? And committing to things. Commitment is hard work. Committing to things takes a lot of effort. And so what I would say to you is that, if you want to commit to things, you got to have the right mindset. You might need to change your mindset. In my line of work, I spend a lot of my time encouraging colleagues and students to approach problems with an open mind, to think about problems and think about how to solve those problems in a very iterative, adaptive, flexible sort of way, to try out lots of different ways before reaching that end solution or that end goal. And your frame of mind, how you approach problems or life, is so important when it comes to committing to things. And if you kind of view doing what you do as and life in general as a sort of playground where you can just learn and grow, then every time something gets in your way, it's much easier to knock it down and just keep going. And there's another really great researcher and social psychologist, Carol Dweck. So Carol has written a book called Mindset. I'm sure some of you here have read that. If not, there's another one to add to the list. But in her research, Carol highlights how your ability, your talent, and your intelligence is never fixed, right? You can always get smarter, you can always get better, you can always just grow if you have the right mindset, which she calls the growth mindset. And so your brain, right? Your brain actually changes when you're faced with adversity. So when you're trying to overcome something that's really difficult, like your neurons in your brain are actually firing, right? They're fighting to find new ways to get over that challenge, right? It's fascinating, it's amazing. But when you have a growth mindset, when you think of that challenge as an opportunity to learn, to go places, to do things, then it makes it much easier. And you see that challenge not as hard work, but as a path forward. And it makes commitment a lot
easier.
I would say set yourself some goals. So if you want to do something, if you want to go somewhere, if you want to learn a skill, having a goal is a much kind of, I guess, easier way to propel yourself forward. I spoke earlier about this goal of mine. I mean, this is completely ridiculous. Like, this is not attainable at all, right? It's highly ambitious, okay? Go everywhere, do everything. That's never going to happen, right? But the point is that this keeps me ambitious, right? It keeps me wanting to do more and to go places, because I know there's just so much out there, and I'm never going to go everywhere, and I'm never going to do everything, but at least I should try, right? Find a role model or a sound friend. So when things get hard, whether it's a relationship or your career, just life, it's good to have, someone to push you forward or pull you back in and keep going. And I'm really lucky that I've had some great mentors, friends, to help me, through my career so far. But actually, two of the most inspirational role models that I can think of for myself are these two incredible women. I'm really passionate about equality and diversity, and I absolutely believe that women are not a minority and that the world has a long way to go to recognizing that. And I've been really fortunate to meet these two women, Sana and Nida. They set up the first ever National Digital Design Conference in Pakistan just last year. Now, in a society that is, highly misogynistic and patriarchal, these women set up a design conference. Design is not a discipline that is celebrated or highly credited in Pakistan. But they set up this conference and they rallied hundreds of people together to celebrate that discipline, and they put women at the center of it. Wow. That was an incredible experience. And so to me, these two women embody commitment, absolutely, and I'm really inspired by that. And I aspire to have that same level of commitment to what I believe or what I do. And so sometimes, your role models or the people that you look to for advice, they may not influence your work, but they may have characteristics or a view that, can really help you in your personal or professional life. And then this one, if you don't want it, then let it go. So this might seem a little bit counterintuitive to what I've just been talking about, but it's not. And let me explain. If we're completely honest, right, nobody wants to do hard work, right? Nobody goes, I'm going to get up today and I'm going to do so much hard work. It's going to be great. That's not what we set out to do when we wake up in the morning, right? So, commitment, like I said, is hard work. You don't really want to do the hard work, but if you want the prize, if you want the thing at the end of that line, if you want, whether it's to succeed or you want to do whatever it is, whatever that outcome is, if you really want that, then the amount of hard work that comes with it won't faze you, right? You'll find ways, you'll figure it out along the way how to overcome that hard work. And so if you really want that prize, you'll keep at it. But if you don't want that thing, if you don't want what's at the end, that's fine. Why would you bother putting in so much hard work if you don't want it? Genuinely, right? So let it go, and that's okay. That's fine to just drop things and walk away. And so I'll just share my final kind of story with you on how I learned that, is that I had this project called Entimo. Some of you may be familiar with it. It was a project that I started in college. It was my final year graduate project. And it was essentially a design, research, and development project that looked at food sustainability and specifically educating people around insects as food, right? And why we should acknowledge insects as a viable alternative to traditional meat and protein. And surprisingly, yeah, it did okay. It got some good attention and traction. And again, I've been very fortunate to be able to travel the world. I've been to China, I've been to Milan to showcase that work, to talk about my research. And last year, I was invited to deliver a TEDx talk on this, something that I absolutely never thought I'd do. Again, sweaty hands, heart palpitations, dry mouth, awful. But I did it. And it was really great couple of years where I kind of just kept it going as a side project. And earlier this year, I kind of looked at it and I thought, I was at this point where, I had this great network, I had interests, I had opportunities, and I had to ask myself, well, what am I going to do with it now? It's like 4.5, 5 years on. Am I going to make that commitment to put in the time, the effort, the money, to do things like maybe develop it into a startup or look for investors or partners? Because I had those potential options. But actually, at this point in my life, I decided that's not what I wanted, right? I didn't want to do that. Because even though I had interest and passion in it, and I really enjoyed, doing that work and learning about, this industry, the interest and passion didn't deepen over time. And so I thought, well, I'm going to let that one go. And maybe I can return to it, and maybe I can pick it up again, and that's fine. But at this point, I'm not going to make that commitment. And so that's kind of a big lesson, is that commitment is not about proving yourself, right? Commitment is not about proving anything. It's not even about getting to the finish line. It's about doing the best that you can, as often as you can, as much as you can, no matter what the circumstances are. And I think by me acknowledging and embracing my introversion, my anxieties, my shyness, that has allowed me to just do what I want to do. And I've used it to my advantage. And so that's kind of what I'll leave you with, is that commit first to being, right? Just being. And then commit to doing. And just keep on doing, and then do a little bit more. Okay, thank you.